I want. I turn a business out of nothing into something I love.
What's good, y'all? It's your big homie, the armchair operator, and welcome to today's video. So today I just want to do a real quick 1,000 round update of my SIG P320 DH3 chambered in 9mm. Now, I've had the DH3 for about I want to say two months, maybe 3 months so far, somewhere around in that range. And you know, I'm at the 1,000 round mark, and I have some thoughts that I want to share with you all regarding the DH3. It's not going to be a full in-depth review. I've already did that on the channel. So if you want to see like an actual more in-depth review going over like, you know, the accessories and everything like that, then definitely check out my unboxing or even my first shots video on the DH3, and you know, it'll hit all those talking points in those videos if you're curious. So like I said, today is just basically going to be a 1,000 round update of this particular firearm. But before I get into that, like I always like to do in all my videos, I just want to thank everybody for taking the time to come to the channel, you know, cop a squat virtually speaking, and you know, just to spend this time with me and listen to me talk on and on and on about these products. So listen, I definitely thank you all for that. But anyway, let's get to the star of the show, the DH3. But what do I always have to do before I get involved in talking about one of these? You know what we got to do. We got to verify clear. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to show clear. So the magazine is empty. The firearm itself, that chamber, I don't know if you can see that, but the chamber itself is empty. Like so. Oh, sorry. You get the idea. Firearm is empty, and we are filming in a safe and controlled environment. So let's talk about the firearm itself. So as you can see, this particular gun right now looks a little bit different from when it first comes out of the box. I usually have a TRL-1 weapon light on underneath. I wanted to take it off for a little while because I just wanted to enjoy the pistol without the weapon light. But we have a gas pedal over here, and we also have a SIG Romeo 1 Pro red dot mounted on the top. Now, one of the first things I did to this particular gun when I got it was I changed the stock takedown lever, and I wanted to add the gas pedal, mainly because if this thing is going to be a race gun, I just wanted to go all in on the whole race gun aesthetic. So that's why I put the gas pedal there. And as far as the optics goes, I wanted something that I could actually use to co-witness with my iron sights. In case you were wondering, these are the SIG X-Ray 3 iron sights, raised iron sights. And the main reason why I went with this, the Romeo 1 Pro, over the Leupold Delta Point Pro, even though they share the same footprint, by the way, I went with this because I wanted to have the co-witness with my irons. So if I went with the Delta Point Pro, the deck height would just be a little bit too tall to co-witness with these sights. And I really do like the sights on the DH3, so I just wanted to be able to use the sights along with the co-witness. So, you know, that's just a me thing. And of course, I'm just going to go over the features really quick. And of course, you got the lightning cuts in the slide here, which is a little bit different from your standard P320 X5 Legion pistols. And, you know, you got your standard serrations up front and in the rear here. Ambidextrous slide catch here. Standard P320 magazine release, which is reversible. And, of course, we have that custom Legion trigger, which is really nice, as you can see. And the reset. There you go. So also, we have the skateboard tape grip, which is actually really good. It's really grippy, allows me to get a firm, solid purchase on the handgun itself. Now, what do I think about this particular pistol 1,000 rounds later? Well, I really like it. I really like it, and I could see it definitely has a racing pedigree for sure. And just by comparing this to say a standard P320 or like my M17, which I no longer have, but comparing it to that, it does feel a lot differently. And there's a couple of reasons why it does feel different from a stock P320, which I'm going to get into. It's not just the weighted tungsten grip. I think a lot of that comes down to the recoil system in this gun. Now, the recoil system in the DH3 is different from a standard P320. So I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to partially break this pistol down. I can't show you on YouTube because of, I don't want them thinking that I'm showing how-tos about how to modify a firearm. But I just want to show you this recoil spring assembly really quick, just to kind of drive the point home about one of the reasons why this pistol feels really different from a standard P320. So hold on that thought. I'll be right back. And we're back. And for you guys, it was pretty instant. For me, maybe about 30 seconds to a minute just to field strip the pistol. But anyway, let me show you what I'm talking about. So what we have here is the recoil spring and the actual guide rod that comes out of the DH3. Now, this is a metal guide rod, and this guide rod has some weight to it. And this is actually one of the two recoil springs that comes with the DH3. So the DH3 comes with a 14-pound spring, and this is the 12-pound spring. And you could tell that because it has the orange paint on the end. And changing the recoil spring to a lighter recoil spring does make a difference as far as felt recoil. It actually shoots a bit softer. And I basically put this in there more so I just wanted to test how it feels to shoot with this recoil spring. And I basically ran the gun with, I ran 115 and 124 grain full metal jacket loads through the pistol with this stock recoil spring. I didn't have, with this spring, excuse me, the light spring, I didn't have any problems. The same thing would apply to the standard 14-pound spring. I didn't have any issues. So that's really neat. And I just wanted to test that because sometimes when you start changing spring weights and everything, you got to be very mindful of what loads you are putting through your particular firearm. But this gun has ran everything that I've put through it. Now, I don't have any 147 grain or any competition loads like that. So I can't speak on how the pistol will function with those loads, with the lighter recoil spring versus the heavier 14-pound one. So maybe that could be something that I could do down the road once I actually get those loads. But there's some other things that I want to show y'all too. So this is the barrel. And this is essentially a 5-inch match grade barrel. Now, keep that in mind because I'm going to show you a quick comparison with this barrel with another barrel near the end of the video. So definitely watch to the end because you're going to want to see that one too. But anyway, this is another reason why the DH3 is a bit softer shooting. It has a heavier barrel. So that's cool too, you know, the extra weight, right? But the biggest thing is the recoil system. Now the standard P320 / M17 has just like your standard captive recoil spring system that you would basically see in most polymer frame striker fire guns. I mean, it's fine for a basic duty purpose or concealed carry purpose, but since the DH3 is intended to be a race gun, of course they redid the recoil system in that thing. So that's a big part of the reason why it shoots, you know, as soft as it does. And now we have the other reason. This is essentially the weighted tungsten, what's the word I'm looking for? The tungsten infused polymer grip. Oh, good grief. And it also has a little weight. Now, I don't know if the camera can pick that up, but there's a weight in the grip right about there that gives it just a little bit of extra heft. And of course, you got the magazine well that gives it a little bit of extra heft and so on and so forth. And, you know, there's that. But let me just show you this too. So remember, we're 1,000 rounds in on the pistol. Now take a look at the underside of the slide. There is very little wear in that slide after 1,000 rounds. Most of the wear is actually right here on the side there. So you got that. I don't know if the camera can pick that up, but my light cut out on me, so please bear with me. I'm trying to show y'all as well as I can with what I have. But I mean, overall, 1,000 rounds in, the gun looks really good. It functions really well, you know, so I haven't had any issues or any malfunctions. I think I might have had one failure to feed initially, like when I first got the firearm. But since that time, I haven't had any problems whatsoever. So I think that just goes to show you the quality of this particular gun itself, you know. So I mean, overall, it's a very solid gun, I think, and you know, it's definitely reliable, and it's definitely worth a look if you're looking for a race gun. And you know, it's pretty doggone accurate. I think the gas pedal really helps it helps it out a lot. And also, I did have a bit of a concern of initially, not now, but the size of the grip. Now, this is actually the small grip module. And like I said in my previous video, I didn't know that until someone pointed that out to me. But even though it's a small grip module and I tend to go for larger grip modules, I haven't had any issues keeping this particular firearm on target. Now, caveat, especially with the gas pedal, but even without the gas pedal, I didn't really have any problems. So, I mean, overall, ergonomically speaking, this gun works for me. Like, I really like it. And I have not had any issues where I have, you know, had my thumbs riding on the slide catch. You know, I don't have that problem at all. Even though I have the large hands, I haven't had that issue. So I think that's really cool. Now, one thing I want to do really quickly, I want to address a comment that I got on one of my shorts. So basically, someone posed a question: what was the differences between the DH3 and the P226X5? So let's talk about that. So here we are. We have my SIG P226X5. Okay, and as always, we're going to verify clear. So the magazine is empty and the firearm is clear, and this gun is verified clear. So let's talk about these two particular guns, and let's just go through some of the differences. So just starting from the top, I tell you what, why don't we head on over to the review table so that way I can show you much better, and that way you can really get to see it firsthand. All right, so just take a pause. I'll be right back and we'll finish up. All right, and we're back. So we're going to do a quick tabletop comparison between the P320 and the P320 DH3 and the P226X5 Classic. Okay, so let's start from the top, the sights. So like I was saying before, the DH3 has the X-Ray 3 suppressor height night sights. I don't know if you can see that there. I don't know if the camera's picking that up, but basically you can see that. While the 226X5 has a blacked out rear with a front fiber optic sight. Okay, so that's the sights between the two. That's the difference. Also, if you look at the optics mounting plate, now this particular optics mounting plate, when it's on the gun, it actually sits on top. So you just undo the top screws. You can, you know, put the screws that came with the Romeo 1 Pro, if we're talking about the Romeo 1 Pro, and just direct mount this to the slide and you're good to go. Whereas with the 226 X5 here, in order to get this rear plate off, you actually have to remove the screws from underneath the slide. So when I take the slide off, I will show you the 2 screws that you got to take off from underneath. But that's the one of the biggest differences between in the optics mounting system between the two. Also, the rear sight on the 226 X5 is adjustable for both elevation and windage, whereas this is just essentially dovetailed into the back of the slide. So that's the difference that as far as the sighting systems goes. Obviously, the other obvious difference, this particular gun is striker fire. This particular gun is single action only. Also, that also means that this gun has an external safety. Well, actually, it has an ambidextrous external safety, but it has an external safety nonetheless. So we have that. Now, looks like the slide catches in a slightly different position between the two, but they look very similar. This one does not have an ambidextrous slide catch. This one does. So that's different. Moving on from there, the takedown system of both guns is basically the same. It used the rotating lever method. Some iterations of the 226 X5 have a gas pedal. This particular one, being the classic, just has a takedown lever, but it does have like a little ridge right here for your thumb to rest while you're gripping the gun. So, you know, that's cool. Now we're going to talk about the triggers, and unfortunately, I forgot my trigger pull gauge, so unfortunately, I can't show you the trigger pull weights on camera, but I have verified that the X5, the 226 X5, out of the box has like around a 3-pound trigger pull out of the box. I believe the DH3 is somewhere in the neighborhood of like maybe 4.5 to 5. I'm not quite sure, but it feels like that to me. But I mean, clearly the X5 has a lighter trigger, plus it's single action only, so that also helps. And while this is a striker fire gun, and let's see, I mean, as far as the major features, and of course you have different magazine releases, you know, so on and so forth. But I mean, that's the main differences between the two. This gun is, even though this is a weighted pistol, this gun is substantially lighter than this particular gun. So let's verify the weights of each pistol on camera. So let's see, neither pistol has a magazine in it, and the DH3 with the red dot on top is coming in at about 41.31 ounces, while the 226 X5 Classic with no optic is coming in at 42.79. So I stand corrected. The weights are actually pretty similar, even though of course you got to count for the optic being on top. But the weights between the two pistols are pretty similar, although in the hand, this feels far more massive than this, because this is a tungsten infused polymer grip, while this is an all metal gun. It's pretty interesting too. That said, both pistols are pretty well balanced while shooting on the range. I would argue that the X5 is a bit more balanced, more so because how the slide is built. If you want to see more so, if you want me to go in, if you would like to hear me go into more detail about that, please check out the first shots video that I did on the 226 X5. But real quick, we're going to take a pause, and I'm just going to show you really quick the internals of the frame of each particular gun, as well as the slide, barrel, and the recoil system. All right, so hold that thought. I'll be right back. And we're back, and as you can see, both pistols are field stripped to their base components. So let's take a look at the two slides. So here you go. Pretty similar, 226 and the 320 slide. Of course, the 320 slide is based on that of the 226. So just a visual quick difference between the two, and here's underneath. And of course, as far as the DH3 goes, you have those extra, you have some of that material milled out to reduce the reciprocating mass of the slide, while as the X5 Classic is pretty much just a standard slide. Now, also with the 226, this is basically what I was referring to here when I was talking about taking off the rear sight plate. Got to take those screws out in order to get that plate off, whereas on the DH3 the screws are actually on top, so that's pretty convenient. All right, so that's basically it for the slides. Now let's look at the barrels. The barrels between the two are actually very similar. There are differences, noticeable differences, but they're pretty similar, you know, like far as the your feeding ramps. The feeding ramps on the 226 are slightly wider, and I think the angle is a little bit different than that of the DH3. Plus, of course, like you got this cutout right here for the recoil system for the 226, where you have the small little cuts over here for the DH3 barrel. And of course, you know, you got your barrel lug. Quite different shape. I don't know if you guys can see that. Different shape. But I mean, both are match grade bull barrels. So they definitely have that in common. And they're both 5 inches. But clearly there are some differences between the two barrels here. Now, the biggest difference is the recoil system. So you have a single recoil spring and guide rod assembly for the DH3, while you actually have 2 recoil springs, 2 springs here for the 226 X5. You got your main spring here, and I believe this second spring in the back here is just more so like a buffer to absorb some of the recoil of that slide. It's a pretty interesting design. And actually shooting this particular gun on the range, in my opinion, you don't really feel a lot of the reciprocating mass of the slide because of this different recoil system. Granted, both guns have a high bore axis because SIG's guns have a naturally high bore axis, but at least in my opinion, you don't really notice it all that much on the X5, but that's just me. But moving on to the frames, and of course, this is the main difference between in the frames here. Of course, you have the modular grip system, which is pretty standard for all 320s here, and then you have the non-modular 226 frame. This is a stout frame, and also, not to go on more about the 226 as far as the differences between the two, this frame feels more robust than this frame, and this frame, at least in my opinion, has better balance as a result. So, but either way, both guns are soft shooting guns. So, you know, I just wanted to take this moment to just kind of just dive into differences between the two. I mean, both are excellent guns. Both are, you know, race guns specifically, and they have their they kind of tick off the boxes in different ways. It's kind of like a sports car, you know. Different drivers will tune their sports cars tune their race cars. I'm sorry, depending on, you know, the type of track they're running, you know, whatever the rules are for whichever league that they're competing in, and so on and so forth. But they all have the same primary job if you think about it, and that's to go fast. So essentially that. You have 2 6-hour high-performing pistols. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this up for you guys. I'm going to put both of these pistols back together, and I'm going to give you my closing thoughts on the DH3, so just stay tuned. And we're back. So real quick, I do have my wheel and trigger gauge with me right quick. So let's just do the trigger pull rate of the DH3. Now, so far I'm averaging like around 5.5 pound trigger pull on this, but let's just see, right? All right, so first, let me just verify, show everybody that the firearm once again is empty as it was in the start of the video. So let's go ahead and try to get an accurate reading. So let's see here. All right, that pull came in a little under 4 pounds. All right, let's do that again. And this one, oh, I stand corrected. It's about 4.5 pounds. So I guess I'm sorry, I got it upside down. My apologies. There you go. My bad. I'll get the hang of it. Just because I screwed up on the first one, we're gonna do that one more again. All right, so let me reset that there, and we're gonna do it. All right, now that was about, yep, check it out, a little over 4.5 pounds. So this trigger is consistently coming in at about 4.5 pounds, which I'm not surprised, you know, competition style trigger. And the trigger on the, well, I'll show y'all. All right, so once again, verify the firearm is clear, magazine clear, and we are good to go. So let me just show y'all this real quick. All right, whoo, that's crisp. Check that out. You see that there? That's about a 2.5 pound trigger pull. I'm gonna do it one more time. Now, mind you, I have not adjusted the trigger on the X5. This is how it came out of the box. Let's do it again. And that one was a little over 3. So let's do one more. Take the average and we'll go from there. Oh, oh, oh. Do it one more time. All right. Just under 3 pounds. All right, so just under 3 pounds. So there you have it. The main differences between the DH3 and the X5. So with all of that out of the way, my closing thoughts on the DH3 is simply this. This is a phenomenal handgun. I really like it. I haven't had any issues on the range with this gun. 1,000 rounds in, it still runs like a champ. I've ran, you know, 115 grain full metal jackets, 124 grain full metal jackets. I've ran some hollow points through here. I've put some Hornady critical duties through here. I haven't had any problems with this gun, so I really like it. Honestly, if I do decide to dip my toe into the competition world, which I am seriously considering doing, I would have no trouble competing with this gun, in my opinion. This would be one of my race gun options if I really wanted to go out there and do that. So all in all, I personally would 10 out of 10 recommend the DH3 if you're into SIG handguns. I know a lot of people are not into SIG handguns. I know a lot of people are concerned about the reliability. Of course, the whole, you know, the controversy revolving SIG P320s is a thing, and it's still a thing even in 2024. But this is the, I want to say this is the third 320 style handgun that I've owned so far. Because my M17, my X10, and now this. And this is the third one. And reliability, no issues. Every single SIG P320 variant that I have ran like a clock, and I've had hundreds of rounds through every single one of them, including this one. So, but again, just like any mechanical construct, anything that's built by man, individual results may vary. So I just say all that to say, me personally, I haven't had any issues. Knock on wood, I won't have any issues with this particular gun. So now that we've laid all that out, definitely let me know what your experiences are with the 320 or the DH3. Do you think it's something that you would be interested in? Whether you're talking about a race gun, whether you're talking about, hell, even a duty gun or a home defense gun. You know, I mean, honestly, personally, I think the gun would function well in both roles. But what do y'all think? Sound off down in them comments and let your boy know what you're thinking. And as always, if you like the video, let me know. Hit that like button. Like, it ain't gonna cost you, it's not gonna cost you not near a dime. It's just like you literally just putting your finger on the screen and just hitting that thumbs up. And if you don't like the video, that's okay too. Let your boy know why you don't like the video. I'm good with that. But anyway, thank y'all so much for watching this production today. I will holler at y'all in the next video. And this is your boy, and I'm out. Peace.